Right, so our next session for today, we kind of touched on this earlier in regards to a question from the crowd about cars being transacted online. And while I don't necessarily think we're running into everyone going and just buying their used cars sight unseen on a website anytime soon, certainly there's aspects of what they've done overseas that have crept into the market, particularly during COVID. Now, here to talk about that and about a broader array of, statistics and products and items you can use is Todd Fuller, the General Manager of AdtorqueEdge in New Zealand. Todd, you can bring your beer up, you're fine.
Would it be, Todd, without a beer in a hand, really?
Now, I think we've got some questions at the end for you that...
I'm not taking questions today.
No questions, no questions.
The good thing is I'm doing the question session with Trade Me, and I'm pretty sure you all got more questions for that bastard than me. Before I start today, I want to thank the AutoTalk team, Debs, Dale and the crew for putting this on. Like Aussie have AADA and the Yanks have NADA, and it's really great that this is the first one and hopefully the first of many. Richard for going sort of balls deep and putting all of this on and putting it on in a brewery. It's bloody great. Can we have a round of applause for the AutoTalk team? So for the next couple of hours, I'm just going to talk about, for the next 15 minutes, I was going to talk about sort of where we're at in the digital journey and where we're going to be in 2023. And it's not about what's happening in America and what's happening in Australia, but what's happening in New Zealand right now. He says, oh, there we go. But the first thing and the only slide that I really want everyone to remember today is this slide here, which is 94% of consumers visit a dealer's website before visiting a showroom. So if you can all just remember that when you go home tonight, 94% of people have gone to your website before they've visited your showroom. And I use it as an analogy when you think about things like John Andrew Ford and someone's vandalised the sign. Do you walk in and go, oh, I must get that sign fixed? And you walk in a week later and go, shit, I must get that sign fixed. Do you come back a month later and go, gosh, you know what, I should get that sign fixed? But there are so many people in here today with websites that are broken or websites that are 10 years old. So if you remember one thing from here, 94% of people are going to go to your website before they come. Today I'm just going to talk about the customer journey, search, visit and obtain. Slide 4 is probably the biggest part about a centralised approach, how you own them, repurchase and visibility. So, thanks Rob from Google. When he got up and started showing stats, I thought, shit, I hope they're the same as mine, but they were. One of the things I will be showing you guys today, though, is New Zealand stats, because we've pulled all the stats from our business, which is all New Zealand dealers. But before, online purchases, 25% of online purchases over everything will be online by 2025. You've seen these stats already. 32% of people thought they'd buy a car online. Now over 61% of people since COVID think they'll buy a car online. And a stat that you might not have heard before, but 94% of people will visit your website before they go to your showroom. One of the things that we're doing when we're trying to build this website and be able to make sure that you can do everything online within a website is that there's no journey the same. You can't build it because of the A, B, C. So are they trading or selling privately? Is it finance? Is it bank dealership? Is it accessories or not? Start the sale process or not? So when you see what we're trying to build here across, not just us, you should talk to your website providers or your agencies. We're trying to build this e-commerce platform for the whole industry. But there's no journey that follows the same pattern. So we've got to build it with people coming in and out of online and offline. And like we said, the journey, the technology needs to support that journey. So where do our customers find us? They find us on our dealer websites. They find us on the manufacturers' websites. They find us on social media, find us in Google, as Rob will tell you many times. They'll find you on TikTok, probably not most of the people in here. Streaming platforms, obviously YouTube's a really big part of that. find you on Trade Me, our good partners at Trade Me, and Auto Trader. And obviously through things like the New Zealand Herald and stuff. So they're finding you in many, many different ways. And the problem that we have at the moment in the industry with a lot of people, what does this mean for dealers, is that there's multiple lead sources. So from multiple places you're getting all of these leads. Most people aren't tracking the leads, right? The leads aren't getting measured, they're not attributed to a source. Basically people go, yeah, I got this many leads, but they're not really tracking where those leads are coming from. We're not going to talk about marketing today because we're pretty much talking about the e-commerce stuff, but there's a whole nother thing around marketing that people need to understand where those leads are coming from so you can get the ROI. And that's a really big important part, but it's not something we're going to be going through today. Multiple logins. I know most of you here would have so many different logins to something, so we'll show you that when we get to the solution part of this. Performance, there's no clear visibility on the marketing channels, and it's something that we're really passionate about, and I think a lot of agencies are really passionate about, is making sure that you guys know where your leads are actually coming from. First party data. I'm obviously a real digital expert on that. No, I've got staff for that, but we all know that the cookies are changing, all of that kind of stuff is changing, so collecting your own data, collecting that first party data is something that's very, very key. And obviously leads management system, whether you're with Motor Central or Autoplay or some other system, it's about getting the leads into that. So the stats here, so I've got to preface this. So basically the stats here are not marketing. The stats that I'm about to show you, which are New Zealand stats, is about how the people get there, what channel they're using to come into the dealership. So don't think marketing, think the channel that it comes through. And these are all New Zealand stats, and I'm sorry for the used car market. My company mainly deals with franchise people, so the stats here are all actually franchise dealers. But what it does show you is how the people are coming into it. And these are New Zealand stats, which is something that I'm really, Australia is our great cousins, but what happens there and what happens here are bloody different. And what happens in America is different. So please understand these stats are New Zealand stats. But 11% of the leads that are coming through, and this is averaged across the dealers across New Zealand, 11% of those leads come through the website. About 1% of them are coming off your stock locators. About 3% of them are coming through chat leads. Now, chat leads is a different one. Some of the franchise guys have a really high chat leads. A lot of the used car guys have a lot of chat leads. But on average, it's around about 3% of the inquiry is coming through that. So once again, don't think about the marketing brings everybody in, but this is actually how they're inquiring through to you. About 1% of that comes through test drives. And once again, 1% through text. Now I know when I've spoken to the used car fraternity, it's a lot higher. It's a lot higher in the used car fraternity than it is in the franchise market. I think we've got people nodding up the front here. Text can be really large in the used car market, not so much in new, but still, it's a smaller thing in the franchise, but definitely in the used, it's a big part. About 5% of the leads are actually coming directly from Facebook. So I'm not saying Facebook advertising brings a lot, but actually when they're actually connecting with you, it's only about 5% in the New Zealand market. 4% are just walking on in. I know a lot of people go, no, lots and lots of people walk in. They've seen your marketing somewhere, but 4% of people will walk onto your yard in the franchise market without actually ever contacting you. So 4% of the market do that. 15% come through third party. Majority of that 15% is Trade Me, but there's also the manufacturers' websites and all of that type of stuff. So about 15% of all the inquiries coming through that. And then 61% of all inquiry coming into New Zealand dealerships is through the phone. It's as high as 70% with some, but 60 to 70% of all the inquiry that comes into dealerships is on the phone. And we've got bugger all people in New Zealand that is actually tracking the phone calls. There's one thing, the one thing you remember is the 94%, but telephone calls, you should be tracking them. So the top dealerships in this country right now are tracking every single phone call that comes in. They're recording every phone call that comes in. They can use it for sales purposes. But the main thing that they have when we're doing this with our top dealers is they know where every phone call came from. They literally know whether it came from Google or it came from Facebook or it came from Trade Me. They say every phone call that comes into their dealership, They should know exactly where that came from. And then when you go to do the marketing, all of a sudden you start to change where you're spending your money because you're tracking those calls. 60 to 70% of all your inquiries coming through phone calls, and half the people in this room don't track it. Probably more than half people don't track it. Your phone calls is where everything's coming from. But that's all cool, and that's what's happening right now. But what's the solution? And what we're going to talk about in these next slides is happening. This is not a pipe dream. This is happening in New Zealand. This is planned for 2023. If it's, might not be with us, talk to your web providers, talk to your agencies, because this is the stuff that should be happening right now in 2023. This slide is basically, there are other slides, but this slide's really the keys of the whole thing, right? We need to have a centralised approach. When I talk about a centralised approach, it means that the customer should be able to come onto your website and purchase the car, and you have it delivered to their home. Now, most people in New Zealand at the moment aren't going to use all of these tools, but you need to be able to build your website so everything can actually be done. So we're talking about the trade-in. The trade-in should be able to be done online. You should be able to give them a trade-in valuation. There are tools out there now that is doing trade-in valuation on price. You should be able to do the trade-in online without the person ever coming in. You should be able to do all the accessories. It should all be on your website. You should be able to, yes, I want that. People will buy stuff without having to talk to people. Finance. We're working really hard with the finance companies at the moment, and so should your web providers, about getting the finance approval actually on your site. This is not pipe dreams. This is all in play for happening for 2023. You should be able to purchase a car or at least place an online deposit. We started online deposits when COVID first hit, and now we've got online deposits across most of our dealers have online deposits, whether it's $250, $500, $1,000. Over 90% of people that put a deposit on a car in New Zealand, not overseas stats, in New Zealand, over 90% of people that have put a deposit on a car have purchased the car. They're not necessarily purchased that car, because when they get in there, you guys move them to something a bit higher. But 90% of people that have put $250, $500, $1,000 there and buy the car. So getting an online deposit, if you don't have online deposits on your websites now, like, go home and get it sorted. It's 90% of people buy. It's a bloody simple tool that everyone should be using. We're working on getting the next part of that, of course, is all the other stuff. So we're already working on instant price guarantees. I know that's really nervous for a lot of dealers, but we're working on that with the data that we've got with a partner called AutoGrab. We're working on being able to give instant price guarantees on trades. It happens overseas. It's coming in New Zealand. It's coming in 2023. Full finance approvals. We're working on that now with all the finance companies to be able to do it online. Home delivery, you guys would know about that. Contract execution. We're building contract execution out now, so it can all be e-signed. The person never does to do that. They can do the whole lot. They can sit in this brewery and buy a car. And obviously vehicle inspection reports, and there's so much more to it. But this is 2023. Your websites should be able to purchase a car. Now, what I'm saying is they're not most, as you saw the percentages that Rob showed, 13% of people are doing this right now. It's going to grow. But a lot of what you want to do is most people are going to come in and out. So someone might come and do the trade-in on you, but then they want to do the finance in person. They might want to do the trade there and do the finance online. But what you need to be able to have in 2023 is that your website can do the whole bloody lot and let the person choose whether they're coming back and forth. That's the key to the whole thing. This whole purpose of what we're doing is making that online experience for cars a real thing in 2023. What does it mean? So for the person, it's one website to find all that information. They don't have to go to different portals. Flexible how they want to come in and out. Convenience. What does that mean for you guys? All the information about the customer in one platform. Trackable, so you can see where that journey's going. And obviously convenience to manage that purchase journey. Your website, I'll just talk about the website. 94%, no, if you haven't picked that up yet, I'll keep going on about it though. So for your website, it's about bringing the customer further into the purchasing journey online before they come into the dealership. It's about creating the hot leads, a single source to find out. And then the next part of that is owner portals. So owner portals allowing the customer to save purchasing data and return later, used for deposits, filing finance applications, contract execution. We're setting up portals that the customer has in the back of your website. So they have an owner portal. So they'll be able to go, I've gone through halfway through it, but I've got to go and talk to my wife. You come back 2 days later, it's in there. All the data's in there. Once you purchase the car, all the data's in there. You've got your own portal. They become your customer because they just go back to that portal to see where they're at with that stuff. What does it look like? So we talk about trade and valuations. What does a trade and valuation look like? Trade and valuations at the moment should be looking like this. So basically how that works is if a customer puts a license plate in, they put their kilometres in, straight away they get back an average trade and valuation stuff that we're using off the tools that we've got, which is AutoGrab, right? So you get a fair in that. What's happening with this stuff now that we've got people that are using it is people were coming into their dealerships thinking that their car's worth 20 grand. And when they tell them it's 10, they think they're a bastard. So they're like, hang on, what we're doing with this tool here is they're before they come in, they're seeing what their trade is worth. When they're coming in, they've come in with a realistic idea of what their trade's worth. It's valuable, valuable information. The thing about this, also having these tools on your website, is the first thing people do when they're looking to buy a car. The first thing anyone does when they're looking to buy a car is find out what their car's bloody worth. If you can come onto your website and go, what's my car worth? And you get an indication, then you've got it in your head. So really, really valuable information. And I know a lot of people are going to be sceptical about the data on this because I tried to do it 6 years ago when I was at Driven and we just couldn't get it right. But we're now at that stage where we can sit down and look people eye to the eye and say, we've got this stuff 90% accurate. It's amazing what's happening in this space. Obviously, the finance application. At the moment, we're getting better and better and better, but we're working with the finance companies. You should work with your finance companies, your web providers, your agencies to make this stuff happen. Because if you can get that person, when they're coming onto the website and they're in that journey, half the time, by the time they get you, they've already gone to a bank or they've gone somewhere else. If you can get them to start thinking about the finance on the website, start dealing with you guys then, we've got a higher chance of getting more money coming through the dealerships rather than the banks. There are things like the online service check-in tools that are out there now. So that's basically the easiest way to explain that is when you go to book a flight at the Air New Zealand, you check in. We've got tools out there now that when you come to book in, you want to book your car in for a service, you basically have exactly like that. You check your car in before you get there. When you get there, you don't stand in the queue for 20 minutes to drop your car in. You've already checked in. When we put this into dealerships, we're talking 45% of people within the first week use the check-in tool because they just go, oh, this is great because people are used to it, right? So when you're running service bays and you're thinking, gosh, it's taking so much time, you can have 45% of your people checked in before they even come to the... Obviously, the CRM stuff. CRM's been around forever. It's just about making sure you're doing it in the digital formats. So basically, repurchase, what does it mean? How do we bring the customer back to the dealership? So the main thing that we should be doing, if it's, talk to your web people. Basically, you should be having owner portals, a customer self-service centre, where they can find out all the information about themselves. They can find out their vehicle valuation at any stage in the process. We're working on, in 2023, an equity detail. So in 2023, and if anyone comes to me and says, is it ready in January, I'll tell you to get stuffed. In 2023, we're working on having an equity deal. So basically, you'll be able to come and go, well, I've had my car for 2.5 years. Where it's at, what's it worth now? That stuff's not pipe dreams, that stuff's happening now. Of course, what does that mean for you guys? Obviously, pre-owned stock technology. It's a really important part of what we're doing. So there are tools out there now that can do this, ensure the customer comes back to the dealership and price well against the market. What we're talking about there is inventory insights, but being able to know what's happening in the market. One of the things that's coming out in 2023 is matching market data against your inventory listings. So this is a really important part, and a part that a lot of dealerships at the moment spend too much time trying to price their vehicles. I go into dealerships and they're sitting there with one screen on Trade Me and one screen on their website, and they're literally trying to price their vehicles on a Monday. That stuff's got to go. It's gone. We're giving tools now, and we work with our partners at Trade Me and our friends at AutoGrab. We've got things that straight away, when you come in on Monday, you can just go, what cars have I got above retail price? What cars have I got below market price? How many cars have I got over 45 days? How many same vehicles are currently listed online nationally? This is live happening. So when you're basically sitting there, you can literally press a button. It says, right, there's 8 other cars, and yours is the bloody most expensive, or yours is the lowest, and you can put your price up. This data's here and right now, and this is used or new. You don't need to worry about whether it's new or used. Average days to sell. So basically, you're thinking of buying a car. You just pop in here and you go, well, hang on, how long does that take? Oh, that car's normally taking 22 days to sell. I don't want to buy it. Oh, that car's taking, at the moment, 11. And what we've done with these tools is been able to see that what happened 2 months ago has changed. So fantastic tools that are not pipe dreams. They're here in New Zealand right now. We've also got other tools of pre-owned stock. So basically what we've got, there's tools out there now that are allowing you to basically, whenever you put in your sales data of all of the customers that you've had in the last 3 to 5 years, and as soon as they list online, you get notified. And what's happening with that, the franchise guys are ringing them and go, shut off, I know that car, we've serviced it for 3 years, we want to buy that. We're ringing the customer straight away and going, hey, we'll buy that. More importantly at the moment, because not many people are buying cars, as you're ringing them up and you're going, hey Bob, it's me from South Auckland Motors here. I see you put your car up for sale. What are you looking to buy? Oh, I've just had twins. I need a 7-seater. And they're talking to those people. They're talking to those people within 15 minutes of it going online. These are the tools that are changing the marketplace. The wholesalers think I'm a right prick for bringing this stuff to New Zealand, but it's happening right now. Obviously, visibility. So all your data viewed and accessed in one place. Data ownership, collect and maintain it, clear visibility. What we're talking about with platforms is talking to your web provider or your agency, whoever's dealing with your website, and pulling all of that information into one platform. What you should have is you should have one dashboard to do it all. So you should have a dashboard that has all your inquiries on there, website, vehicle, phone calls, Facebook leads, third-party inquiries, chat leads, all in one place. And that same dashboard, you should be able to get all your website analytics. And that same dashboard, you should be able to get all your social campaigns, all your AdWord campaigns, everything in one platform. And then the last part, I suppose, to all of this really is when you talk about marketing is a couple of years ago, probably more than that, a lot of dealers came to us and said, Todd, you guys are bringing us so many leads. It's fantastic, so many leads, but we don't know whether those leads are actually going to test drive or sale. So you can bring us all the leads in the world, but if they're not going to test drive and sale, it doesn't make sense. So you should be able to, at any stage, pull in all your lead data, and then pull in all the dealership data, test drives and sales, and then put it through the machine and tells you what advertising is driving the best return for your dealership. This is happening now, so we can sit down with dealers at the end of the month and go, right, all of that advertising, this is what happened. They first saw you on Facebook, 3 weeks later they saw you on Google, then they saw you on Trade Me, then they went Google search, and then they came here, and it'll show you the whole journey. Just by using that sales data, we can track back that stuff. And that, when you're doing the marketing side of it, makes a hell of a big difference. So summary, channels of engagement, centralised approach, which is the key to it all. Always think about beyond the purchase, and own and manage data. And the last thing I'll say is, I like Tina from Turners, and 94% of people will visit your website before they visit your showroom. If you go home and if you wake up with that in your head, you haven't had enough to drink. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Todd. I'm good. Thank you, Todd. Well, 2 things to take away from that. First of all, if you didn't get it from Todd, 94%, I believe, was the number. And secondly, I have learned about buying cars in a brewery, and I was just thinking, what could possibly go wrong? So thanks for the top tips on that one. But thank you once again, Todd. Our next